Coming up next, Bookin It reads The Bronze Bow. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bookin It. I am your even more humble and eloquent host, Cooper Cobbs. And over there we've got Matthew Killingsworth. Hey,
Howdy.
Matthew.
I'm doing swell.
And got Isaiah Redsky.
Illy.
How you doing, Isaiah?
Good.
Good. And in a surprising turn of events, we have Tanner Lewis
What?
on. I'm so excited. How you doing,
Yes.
Tanner?
Yes, I am here. I've returned. I'm back from the dead.
That's right. I'm also back from the dead. If you listen to our screening episode, you heard that I was skiing. Well, I think it was a day or two later, I broke my leg skiing.
Yeah.
So when I said I was
Yep.
even more humble, I meant it. I was even more humble. I was limping around a gas station on the way home with my foot.
Oh.
Yeah, we thought it was just sprained at the time. Also, my uncle, the day after that, he hurt his shoulder. He tried to do a jump and landed funny, and so I was limping around the gas station, and he goes, "I'm the real cripple. You're just a fake." Anyway, I guess by the time you'll hear this, 1 week exactly. So this Monday, we got X-rays, and we're like, "Oh wait, it's broken." So we texted our family, and I told Uncle Steven, "I'm the real cripple. You're just a fake." So it was pretty funny.
How dramatic.
But anyway, I got my pink leg scooter over here that I'm really excited about, and my muscles are gonna be really strong, so the crutches. So yeah, but it's okay. I can put weight on.
We'll have to arm wrestle after.
But enough about me. It's true. Always anyway.
Cooper,
But
is there ever
how's
enough
everybody
about
else
you?
doing? Yeah, how's everybody else doing?
I'm doing great.
Oh, pretty good.
All right, I think that the new listeners are gone now, so I think that we can get into some baggage on the said book.
Totally.
So, the book of discussion is The Bronze Bow by Elizabeth George Speare. We did another book of hers, The Sign of the Beaver, back in the early days. I think it was like August or something like that. So let's get everybody's baggage on it real fast. Tanner, I want to go ahead and start with you. What's your baggage with The Bronze Bow?
My family, my mom loves to read books aloud to our family often, so we always flip between
yeah.
certain books. And this was before we had gotten into our challenge program, which is the school that we do for all of our listeners that don't know. But our book for Challenge A was going to be The Bronze Bow. And my mom started reading that aloud to us. Of course, at that time, I didn't really know that was going to be a school book. I was just listening because, what the heck, it's a book. So I was just listening to the book, and I really enjoyed it. And when we came to Challenge A, I enjoyed writing a persuasive essay on it. To this day, I still don't remember what my Annie chart was, but I extremely enjoyed reading the book and cannot wait to share my thoughts on it.
Nice. All right, Isaiah, Tanner, rock, paper, scissors. What do you
How
want to
about
do?
me instead of Tanner?
Okay. Oh, I said Matthew and Isaiah.
No.
didn't I?
No, you
You
didn't.
said Isaiah and Tanner. Anyways, all right. Well, I can't see your screen, Isaiah, so this is not going to work. You just go first.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd never heard of this book until probably like the beginning of Challenge A, whenever my mom told me that I had to read it. And yeah, I read it. It's a really good book. And yeah, I don't, like same as Tanner, I don't remember anything I had to write the persuasive essay on. All I know is that one was one of my favorite books to read and write on in Challenge A.
Yeah,
So yeah.
for sure.
My baggage
Nice. All right, Matthew, what about
is
you?
as follows. I've read this book 3 times. The first time was exactly a year before Isaiah did, when I did Challenge A year before him. And then the next year, I read it with Isaiah in Challenge A, and both of the other guys.
Yeah, Matthew was held back. No, he wasn't held back. It was complicated. Anyway.
And the third time was about a month ago when I read it again for the podcast. And I liked it all 3 times. Yeah, there's not really an exception. I don't know why I was about to say except. I liked it all 3 times because I think it's my favorite Elizabeth George Speare book. I definitely liked it better than Witch of Blackbird Pond or Sign of the Beaver.
Sign of the Beaver.
But-
I agree.
Yeah, it's really cool. But I guess I guess I'll give my opening thoughts in a second. You can go ahead and do your baggage, Cooper.
Yeah, some of that is just kind of weird. So, like Tanner, my mom read this aloud. I think I was probably 9 or 10 or something. I don't know. And so reading it, the last night, I think my dad actually was reading it aloud. And so he's reading aloud. He starts crying at the end. He hands the book to my mom. My mom starts crying. And so I have to finish the book reading it aloud to my family. And they're like, why are you guys crying? Weaklings. And then I, read it again being a more mature self. And I'm like, well, I can actually kind of see why they're crying. Yeah, I read in Challenge A again. And man, I was just blown away by it because I hadn't read in a few years, and I was just blown away by how good it was and how powerful it was. And so immediately this semester, I was like, hey, why don't we do the Bronze Bow? Because I think that's going to be one of the most fun books to talk about that we've ever done so far. So here we are.
Yes, and just to clarify for our listeners, Cooper only cries down ski slopes.
I didn't cry. I was yelling a lot. I didn't cry. Alrighty. So Matthew, you said you want to give your opening thoughts first?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, the reason this is my favorite book over all the other Elizabeth George Speare books is that this is, I think, the only book I've read that takes place in the Bible times that's not the Bible, and that's not, like, just a history book, explaining history.
For sure.
But this is, like, a specific story that's fictional, but it's historical fiction, and whenever I read historical fiction, it's always American history and stuff like that. And so I've never read anything like this. It's just unique. And Elizabeth George Speare has such a great writing style anyway, that when she just created this super incredible story with Jesus and some of the disciples and like this kid named Daniel and his background stuff, it's a really great story.
For sure. All right, who wants to go next on their opening thoughts?
Yeah, I really loved Speare's writing style. It was just so, I wouldn't really call it vivid, but
Captivating.
It felt, yes, thank you. It was just there. You weren't, obviously it's not first person like To Kill a Mockingbird, but it still feels like you're there, like watching the events as they unfold. So you're not really the character, but still you're getting to be inside everyone's minds and get to see around everything. And I really like that dynamic. And I really liked, like Matthew said, the historical fiction. I have read a few books that resemble this book, but I've not read any books that are as good as this one in the way they've been written and how well they've been translated and how historically accurate.
Mm-hmm. Isaiah, real fast, your thoughts?
I just thought it was like a really good book, like how it was written, like the storyline. It wasn't like boring or anything like that, like too descriptive. It was like, in my opinion, like basically perfect, like in how this book was supposed to be, and it explained everything well. I didn't like nothing was hard to understand or anything like that. I actually felt like I was there witnessing it, and then like they were saying, it was a great storyline and all that, like being in the Bible times, but not actually like from the Bible or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, this book is so great. I mean, it takes something that is, I'm sure, like really hard to walk around. I'm sure it's like a minefield writing this. How do I get this right? How do I, not blaspheme, really?
Yeah.
How do I make the character of Jesus really great? And I think she did a great job.
Definitely.
I don't think she, took Jesus, and she didn't, make Jesus a main character, which I thought was a good idea, and she didn't, make him something that he's not, which, really beautiful. And the way she just captured the times over there, it was impeccable, almost. Impeccable,
Inconceivable.
I say. Inconceivable, almost, yes. So I'm excited for these. I think these are going to be, guys, I'm holding us to a high standard, our best episodes ever.
Oh man,
Right,
We'll see.
right
We'll
here.
see.
I just jinxed it, but I think it's going to be.
I think it is going to be pretty good as well. You just reminded me. Well, I just want to say about Jesus in this book. I think she just did a great job with him because she never said how do I say this? She didn't really play it safe, not necessarily. She just the way she wrote about Jesus in this book was very smart and wise almost, so that like you were saying, she wouldn't blaspheme him. Because every time she said anything about Jesus, it was from Daniel or someone else's perspective and what they thought about him in their lives. And
Right.
I think I obviously can't know because I wasn't alive back then, but I think that's a pretty accurate um, description of how people, thought about Jesus at first. At first, they were like, "Oh, he's the rabbi. He's teaching people all these things. He's so captivating. Like, I just want to sit here and listen to him." But then, like, some people were like, "Oh, he's not going to defeat the Romans. I don't really care. I don't want to listen to him.
Yeah.
I'm not wasting my time on that." And that's how kind of Daniel was at first. But then some of his friends started listening to Jesus, and so he started getting more interested. And the story just goes from there. So I think she did that part really well.
Yeah, for sure. So, opening question to you guys is kind of this: what do you think was the purpose of this book, or the main theme of this book? And how do you think that Elizabeth George Speare showed that?
Personally, I think that she chose this like theme for her book, like the zealot and all of the oaths and the bad background. Like that is most of the Jews at this time. And you never really get to see that in the Bible. Not that God wanted us to not see it, but just that you didn't really get to see it from that point of view, just because they were written
the Bible
by.
doesn't focus on that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was focused on Jesus, and it was focused on the apostles and all of that. But you don't really get to see all of the backgrounds and how broken all of the people were, because all you're hearing about is Jesus and how he's saving them. That's not a bad thing. I'm definitely not condemning the Bible. Let's make this entirely clear. I'm just saying that you don't get to see everything that she sees, everything that she's bringing up in this book, which is why I love it so much, because you kind of get a way different dynamic than what you would be if you were just reading straight from the Bible or history if you're looking around it.
Oh.
So she kind of gave us that nice mixture to show like what most followers of Jesus were feeling like back
But
then.
what's the purpose of this book? Why was it written?
Well, hold on. To be fair, Tanner, we're not saying that Elizabeth George Speare doesn't, we're not saying she knows for sure what it was like back in the Bible times.
I'm not saying that either.
Yeah.
I'm saying I've looked some of this up too, like around the history of it. I have books on it that I've looked through. I'm not saying that I'm an expert either. I'm just saying from what I've looked through, this is relatively historically accurate, which is why I respect her for putting all of that in and adding a different dynamic around Bible times.
All right, that's all good, but what is the purpose of writing this book? What is the impact that she leaves us with, that she wants us to take away?
Jesus isn't going to come how we expected him to. I think that was her true purpose. She was showing that we hold on to our own views of God way too hard. And his name slipped me.
Daniel?
It's not Joel. Daniel, thank you. Daniel held on to his views of what the Messiah was going to look like he held on way too fast to them. And I think the purpose of this book was to show that we can't hold on too fast to our views on Jesus. I'm not saying that we should throw away everything we hear. I'm just saying that we need to hold everything with open hands and let God decide what to reveal to us.
Yeah.
Right, I completely agree with that, and I'm going to piggyback off of that. I think that it's even a little bit broader than just how people thought or how people expected Jesus to come, because I think throughout the whole book, it's Daniel learning that his plan is not always the plan. Obviously, God is behind all those plans of anybody, but I think in this book specifically, it shows how in a number of things, one with Jesus, yes, but also with his sister, he thought his whole plan with his sister was just to feed her, clothe her, and keep her in the house all the time because she couldn't be out around people. And that was his whole plan until Thasia comes to his house and starts to help his sister kind of branch out a little bit and come out of her shell. And he was so he couldn't even speak. He was speechless because he didn't expect that to happen, and he had his own kind of plan for how he was going to take care of her the rest of her life. But it turned out there was a different way that was better, And I think he learned that on a number of things throughout the whole book. One of the main ones, obviously, being Jesus is coming, and he expected Jesus, or he wanted Jesus to, go fight the Romans and beat them up. But he realized at the end that that's not Jesus's actual purpose. Jesus's purpose was to save everybody, even the Romans.
Right. And I think that this book is kind of more about what loving your enemy actually looks like. I'm sure that when we all like first read that passage in the Bible, like love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you, you're like, what? What does he really mean by that? I think this book really explores that in a way that is just really awesome and explores, yeah, exactly how they thought Jesus was going to come as a king and a conqueror and why they thought that was going to happen, and what would it look like for them to process that and the kind of results of that. And I thought that was incredible. What about you, Isaiah?
I mean, I think it's more like just, or I mean, I agree with all you guys what you're saying, but it's also like just another way to like just preach the gospel, showing people like that Jesus wasn't a guy that just went just for the Jews or whatever. He went for everybody. It doesn't matter what you did or like who you are. That Jesus was there to help, try and protect you, save you. It doesn't matter who you are, like color your skin, nothing like that. If you were a slave, and then it's also just showing like basically another story from the Bible, but in someone else's perspective that wasn't in the Bible. Like just another way to look at it.
Yeah, for sure. So what I love about this book is it also doesn't just tell you kind of the theme of the book. Like we all got different themes, but I think we can all agree that it's not just somebody. It's not just Elizabeth George Speare telling you that. The best books give you 2 and 2 and let you make 4, and I've heard that somewhere else, so I can't take credit for that. But
Oh,
this book,
I know where I've heard that. I've heard that in law. Like my dad's
oh
a
yeah,
lawyer, and he always tells me that, like when he's making speeches or cross examinations, help position his questions and ask questions. I've seen him do this a million times. Ask his questions so that the judge and the jury can put 2 and 2 together themselves,
right.
and he doesn't have to explain every single thing because it's more powerful if they come to it by themselves. This also just reminded me of Inception, because like he can't just like go up and tell the guy like what to do. He like has to like put the idea in his mind,
Right.
kind of.
Yeah, it
Anyways,
also kind of
that's
reminds me of
so awesome.
WandaVision, where they give you 4, they don't let you put 2 and 2 together.
Yes.
But anyway, so like in the beginning, we see Daniel. He like hates the Romans. He literally ditched his grandma and the book says demon-filled sister to literally
Right.
go live with an outlaw to fight the Romans.
Uh-huh.
You know,
In a cave in the mountains.
right in a cave in the mountains. Um, and so he was really devoted, and throughout the course of the book, we see Jesus kind of change that.
Yeah. Because by the end, he accepts Jesus, accepts his sister, accepts everything that he's kind of pushed to the side in his life, and has completely changed the focus of his life, which was previously, like you were saying, to kill every single Roman possible. But it changes to love every single person possible, and
Right,
just from
right.
Jesus.
So I
And
liked,
Jesus.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
you go ahead.
Oh, Jesus at the end comes to his house, and I think this is obviously like the best part of the book. This is my favorite part, when Jesus comes and heals his sister, and like, can you imagine that? Like Jesus, obviously this is not like, well, obviously it's not true in history because it's fictional, but like Jesus just coming to your house and fixing like a problem you've had or your sister's had your whole life, like it's an incredible part.
For sure. Yeah. I really
Yeah.
liked. Oh, sorry, Tanner. You go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, like, on Daniel's devotion. Daniel was a very, very devoted person. He was very headstrong. He just needed something to focus on. He couldn't live without something like pointing him in the right direction. My dad always says that a loaded truck drives straighter um, than a empty bed with a truck drives straighter with a loaded bed than an empty one. So I feel like that's the same way with Daniel. He felt like he had a very empty truck bed, so he tried to fill it up with all of his zealotism, and I totally just made that word up, but but Yeah, he tried to fill that up with just being a zealot and trying to protect or fight for what he thought was right. But then Jesus comes away and tells him, no, 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 no. And he points him in the right direction and shows him that everything, and shows him that his devotion is good. His devotion is not like entirely bad inherently in and of itself, but his sinful nature was what was influencing that devotion. So I feel like that was something very impactful to me, just that he was very
Right.
devoted and he needed just to be pointed in the right direction and to focus on Christ.
He had a loaded bed, just wasn't pointed in the right direction, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I like.
And Jesus taught him how to use his burdens
Right.
to help drive him forward
Right,
instead
exactly.
of hold him back. But yeah, sorry, Cooper, we keep interrupting you.
Yeah, I've been trying to say this for a while. So I like her use of Simon the Zealot, kind of a lesser known disciple of Jesus, and kind of putting him into the story, and how he takes Daniel back to the village, and says, "I want you to meet this preacher. I think he might be the one, the Messiah, right?" And so Daniel's like, "Oh, this is going to be great. He's going to lead us against the Romans." And then when he finally goes and he watches Jesus, he like feels his presence, like his gravitas, his aura, and he's like, we could make this man king. That can make, but then he like speaks, and he speaks, like, I'm a servant. You must love your enemy, and he's like, that's not what I wanted.
And he ends up leaving, and not like he kind of distanced himself from going to Jesus' teachings until his friend, what's his name, Joel.
Yeah.
Joel convinces him to go back. And he's like, I've been going to see Jesus every single morning and listening to him, and he's like, he's just helped me out a lot and stuff like that. And
Yeah, there's just
it
something
encourages
about him that I cannot stay away from.
Right? Is that a quote? Yeah, that's good.
No, I don't know. I don't think so. But
Yeah, I was skimming through the book and like last night just to make sure, because I read it a month ago, but I've read a lot of stuff since then. And I actually read that part, but I can't remember the exact quote.
yeah. So let me ask you guys a question. If you were around during Jesus' time and he was preaching and stuff, what would have made you follow him? Would it have been the miracles? What would it have been?
Probably the miracles, yeah. Probably the miracles, or like you were saying, I've never been in the same presence as like the physical human Jesus on earth, obviously. But from like not just this book, but like in the Bible, like you were saying, there's just kind of like an aurora, like just like an atmosphere around Jesus.
I think you mean aura.
Aura.
You said aurora,
Yeah,
like
that's what I
Sleeping Beauty.
Well, sorry. Just like an atmosphere around Jesus that, just like is, how do I say this? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is calling, I guess, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I think it would have been his gravitas. I don't know if it would have been the miracles or not. I think it would have just been his presence. I could just feel his presence around him and be like, this is the guy. It wouldn't have been the miracles. I mean, those would have helped, obviously, but just
Right.
his presence, just the presence of God in the room. And I think that's what Daniel felt, and I think that's actually what Elizabeth George Speare does a good job of portraying.
Yeah. I mean, the miracles would have probably helped with, like, seeing that. But, yeah, like you were saying, Cooper, the presence or just, like, his authoritative figure, just, like, when he spoke it, he didn't hesitate, didn't doubt it, didn't sound anything like that. He was just stating facts, but it was so true, and it sounds right, and just, he's speaking truth and all that.
For sure. So let's talk about one more thing, and then I think we'll end the episode.
I just have
Oh,
one more
sorry,
thing to
Tanner,
add on to that. Yeah, it wasn't. I just want to clarify. It's not really what we think draws us to him. We were predestined before the beginning of the earth. God changes hearts. We only plant the seeds. And I think that it wouldn't have been like just. There's so many stories in the Bible of people just seeing Jesus and being around him and just start screaming out, Son of God, right?
And like when he tried to leave, he was teaching one day, and he tried to leave and go on the boat across the lake or the sea, I guess. And
the crowds followed him.
Everyone just followed him. The crowds just went to where he went, and they just couldn't stay away from him.
Yeah, and then it just shows how like stubborn they were. So many people saw miracles that shunned him. Just think about the Pharisees. They held so
Yeah.
tightly to their beliefs about God and what they thought the law and the prophets were talking about. They held so tightly to that that they couldn't let go. They saw miracles. They saw people walk up from the dead, and those people didn't believe.
Yeah.
Like,
They held so tightly to their they didn't follow the laws of their God. They held so tightly to their laws that it became their God. And they just worshiped the laws and they followed the laws so strictly that they couldn't focus on anything else, to the point where they couldn't even see God when he was literally face to face in front of them.
Yeah.
exactly. So it was
And
more of a. It wasn't really like them being pulled. Like God has chosen us from the beginning of time. He knows what our choice will be, but from God is still the one that chooses. It's like deep theology, I know, but still, Jesus, like his presence was what was doing it, and it was God choosing it, not us.
right.
All right, let's talk about one more thing real quick. So, I think last time in Challenge A when we read this, we were having a pretty heated discussion about whether Daniel's sister was actually filled with the
Possessed by
demons.
demons.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I don't want to touch too strongly because we might get heated again. But I want reading it again this time. What are you guys' opinions? Because I could go either way.
I think she was.
Hmm.
Because it's not unheard of for Jesus to literally cast the demons out of people. And maybe I don't know, maybe in the Bible it's not like the word demons is not always used to mean actual demons. Maybe it's just like burdens, or I don't know, problems. They're like some mental thing that's in someone so much to the point that they're like doing these crazy things, and it's, essentially is a demon. But either way, I think I think she definitely did have a actual like problem that she couldn't fix, but Jesus could fix it, and that's definitely not unheard of in the Bible. So I think yes, it was demons.
Yeah, I also believe demons, but like, if we're so Matthew, you just define demons as burdens and problems, correct? Is
Sure.
Well, like, let's do like actual demons.
Yeah, like demons, like spirits of Satan. Yeah,
Right.
Right.
I think that she was, just because there were so many times when Jesus would throw out demons from people and into,
Yeah, and like the
yes,
pigs.
the pigs.
Yeah.
I'm I'm pretty sure that was in Matthew like 11 or something. But there's so many times when Jesus does that, and there's so many times when that word matches up directly to what God calls Satan in Genesis when he says, "Get out, you serpent." And there's so many times when it's just so close, and there's so many times when it's the same word that they used when Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane too. Like, they were just attacked, and I don't think it's unheard of for people to be have demons in them. I still think that there are people that have demons in them to this day. I don't think it's this past thing that gets turned round and around and around and around. There's evil people, and those are the people that have demons in them. And Jesus and God are the only people that can cast those out, period. Nothing we can do that. And I think that's
Right.
where Malthace, no, that's not, was that Malthace? I don't know. I have no names. I will confess I have not read this for like a year. But the whoever Daniel's sister was, I lost names.
Oh yeah,
Lee?
Leah.
Leah, yes. I feel like she had demons in them, in her, just because there is no way that any of them could have fixed that. She couldn't fix it. Daniel couldn't.
Daniel couldn't.
Daniel couldn't.
Joel couldn't. Not even Thasia could.
Yeah,
Stacia
no.
came close though.
But Thasia still couldn't do it. No
Yeah,
one.
Stacia.
No one could do it, and Jesus is the only
Yep.
person that can. Jesus is the only person that can save our sins.
Just by walking in the room.
Isaiah, your thoughts?
I definitely think she was demon possessed. And one of the reasons could have been just to glorify God, for Jesus to come and heal her, like to prove to, like to show Daniel who
Right.
he is and just how powerful he is.
Yeah, it definitely all
yeah.
fits together.
Yeah, she was definitely demon possessed though.
Right.
Just how she acted, and that, like Tanner was saying, nobody could fix it. Nobody knew what was actually wrong or anything like that.
Yeah.
I thought of something while Tanner was talking. He was saying about how demons are still in the world today, which is true, obviously, because our world is still sinful, and there's always going to be demons where sin is. And but it made me think that like so many people don't believe in like the same things that even just normal people believed in back then, like simply like demons and angels. Just like so many people believe that those are just kind of myths or things
Right.
like that. So that like today it basically is just like kind of like you would call it like a mental issue or something like that, when it could actually be literally a demon, you know.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Let's do some donor shout outs.
Let's do it.
All right, Isaiah, what would someone do if they wanted a donor shout out?
They'd go to patreon.com/bookin it and choose any of our tiers that are $5 and up.
That's right, and for ease, we have placed the link in the description / show notes, whatever you want to call it, below. And
So
we have
easy.
some exciting news to share.
Yes, we do.
Much to Matthew's chagrin, we are doing a Lord of the Rings. We have a new donor that pushed us over the $75 goal. And
I'm happy for that we got a donor, but I'm not really happy to read Lord
it's
of the
going to be
Rings
fun.
either.
Me and Tanner are really excited. You guys are going to have some fun talking about them on the podcast. Anyway,
Probably have some fun talking about it, not
you
reading
can go
it.
watch a funny video that I put together on the Patreon page that Isaiah said. It's free, so you can just go ahead and watch that. I think it's pretty funny. But anyway, so let's do some donors. Let's see here. For the donors, I'll shout them out, and then you guys will say, what do you guys want to say? All right, let's do this. I'll say the character. Sorry, not the character. The donor,
Donor.
and then you guys will say which disciple you think they are. Okay.
Okay, we'll
Okay, it's a little weird, but okay.
we'll go with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Matthew.
Nobody say Judas.
Yeah. Well, use Paul instead of Judas. All right. Matthew, Nana.
Nana, Peter.
All right, Van Fappy and Wayla, Tanner.
Simon.
All right, Isaiah, your grandparents.
Paul.
Nice. All right, Matthew, Isaiah's uncle Sebi.
Mateo.
Nice. All right, Tanner, Isaiah's Aunt Jenny and Uncle Sam.
John.
All right, Isaiah, why do you always get your family? Okay, Isaiah, you get your cousins Moses and Sarah.
Bartholomew.
All right, Matthew, Chris,
James.
James. What is he? Is he? Yeah, he's a disciple. Okay, and I have one more that is in this book that I think should be mentioned. Tanner, we have a brand new donor, Isaiah's parents, Mr. Mike and Miss Laura. Thank you so much for donating.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Now we get to read Lord of the Rings.
All right, Tanner, come.
Yes, Mark.
Cough. Simon the Zealot. Cough. Huh?
Simon the Zealot.
No, he already said that.
Oh, he
We've
did?
already done that one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're good then.
We
All right.
did Mark.
Well, Mark.
Nice. Okay. Thank you so much for donating, guys. Make sure you go to the link that Isaiah said in the description below. We really appreciate it. Please make sure to rate and review us, and tell your
Please
friends
do.
about the podcast. We really would like
Yes,
for them to
that would really help
listen
us.
to us. And I think that's it. So until next
Yeah.
time.
Keep on booking it.